Sanbonan? Tobela? Yeah, I'm a bit worried that it's cold outside, but it's warm inside. Goeiemorgen, dames en heren. Good morning. It's a very special privilege and a great honor to begin these proceedings and to extend, first of all, a very warm welcome to each one of you. Excellency, welcome. And of course, the founder and chief patron of this very important initiative, Dr. Maponya, Dr. I'm not going to refer to the honorary doctorates that Dr. Maponya may hold from other institutions nearby. I'm simply referring to the one from this institution. And so when the possibility was raised of initiating, establishing, nurturing a substantive conversation, theoretical, pragmatic, practical, about the issues that sit in the head and the heart and in the soul of Dr. Maponya, we were ready. We put our hands up and said, Baba, there's no other place to go. This is the place to do it. And so today we begin a very important, I say with hesitation, a long march as we seek disruptive measures, interventions, to disrupt what has become an almost intractable problem, challenge, fact of unemployment and entrepreneurship and innovation. We all know that real unemployment sits at approximately a third of the economically active population. We know that about 60% of young people are unemployed. Estimates put the number of young people between the ages of 16 and 29 who are not in work, not in training, not in a college, not in a school, not in a university, not in a job, at now approaching 4 million. The work of the National Planning Commission shows that unless a young person finds a job within 3 years of having entered the labor market, they are unlikely to find a job ever, except for piece jobs. Do some gardening here, do some domestic work there, but effectively piece jobs for the rest of their lives. The fact is that the economy is growing at a snail pace, and even as it grows and picks up its growth in the next period, process automation, amongst others, and technology more generally, is fundamentally reshaping the structure of the economy, domestically and abroad. And yet, surveys amongst young people say that 90% of them look forward to a job in government. Only 10% of them say that they are ready to go and enter the market with their own ideas, with their own innovation, with their own interventions, and that they are not interested in working for the state or any private employer. In the Youthful Cities Index recently released, the index puts Johannesburg, yes, in the top 5 African cities across a range of indices, and I would encourage you to do a web search if you've not come across this Youthful Cities Index. Striking thing about this index is it shows that Johannesburg trails not only Lagos, but also Accra, Dar es Salaam, and a handful of other metropoles on the continent in respect of the conditions being available for entrepreneurs to flourish. So if you're looking for a youth assessment of the big metropoles of the continent from the point of view of entrepreneurialism and entrepreneurial energy and passion and the conditions, the culture, the environment, then don't look at Johannesburg. And so I can go on to regale you with the facts on the ground. The fact that South Africa entered its own demographic window already some 5 or 8 years ago, meaning we had reached, and we're still at a point where our economically active population in the age group 16 to 35 is at its peak. Call it a demographic window, an opportunity to be seized when let's put it in simple language, when the economically active population is young, is at its average, on an average level, at its youngest. And yet there is a fundamental mismatch between that youthful workforce or economically active population. There's a fundamental gap between the profile of capabilities of that population, of ours, and the kinds of skills that are increasingly required, or the profile of skills that are increasingly required in the labor market. I only have 15 minutes to speak, so you can see I can speak for hours about this topic. So I need to rein myself in. It is clear that there are fundamental supply-side problems, therefore, in the labor market. Exiting school, exiting university and colleges. I should say tongue-in-cheek, Baba, that Dogodel, that at the University of Johannesburg, 95% of our students find employment within 12 months of graduation. In fact, 70% get a job before they graduate. But there are some fortuitous factors in play that benefit this university and our neighbor. We're in Johannesburg. We are not in Alice or in Toyando and so on. There is also the fact that 80% of the students enrolled at this university are enrolled in professional and vocational programs. So, whether you're trained as a radiographer, whether you're trained as a social worker, a journalist, an engineer, and we train 9,000 engineers a year at this university. We graduate about 1,300, 400 of them a year. We're still not at the ideal graduation level. And so I don't want to give the impression that everything is perfect here at this institution, except to say that it's the profile of our enrollment, principally in professional and vocational careers and programs, as much as 80%, and our location here in Johannesburg. So, we have considerable work that needs to be done. But for that work to be done, we need to reflect, we need to bring the knowledge together. So we don't have to go and reinvent the wheel. Bring the knowledge together, domestically and from our peers in BRICS, and Brazil in particular, which impressed Dr. Maponya in particular, and continues to impress many of us who are gathered here today, with the manner in which it has faced up to and said we're going to disrupt this problem of intractable unemployment, of intractable poverty, and of deep inequalities in our society. And so we know that there are fundamental issues in the public schooling system, in the college system, as the state seeks to build that college system from a minuscule system of 350,000, now sitting at 550,000, with a goal of growing the college sector, the correct goal and ambition of growing that sector to close to 3 million by 2030. The ratio between the college and the university sector should be 3 to 1, ideally. Meaning for every 1 student in a university, 3 in the college. As we know, our situation has been the opposite. For every 3 students in university, we have 1 in college. And our job is to reverse that. But that's in part in the background, isn't it? The debate is really to reflect on the lessons learned from Dr. Maponya, Dr. Maponya, his insights combined with our insights and contributions to fundamentally disrupt, to contribute to fundamentally disrupt this problem. I mentioned earlier South Africa had entered its demographic window already a handful of years ago. The continent, in particular sub-Saharan Africa, enters that demographic window in the next decade. By 2040, Africa will have 1/4 of all young people 16 to 29 in sub-Saharan Africa. It's opportunity, it's a challenge. And so our conversation is about Mzansi. It is about the region, it is about the world. Because the fact is that youth unemployment is a worldwide problem. Youth unemployment is in excess of 50%, and in most instances in excess of 60% worldwide. So we've got to turn around this problem. So having looked at the structural issues facing our economies, the process automation processes and related processes, the introduction of technology, the mismatch between the skills profile and the demands of the labor market, and so on and so on and so forth, we have to face this question, that 90% of our young people want a job in government. When the fact is that even the minister, the new minister of Public Service Administration, concedes that the public sector is bloated. That more than 50% of public spending goes to wages. And so even with a churn at 10% in the public sector of 1.2 million workers, you're only creating 120,000 vacancies. But presumably you're creating the vacancies at an increasingly higher skill level as opposed to an increasingly lower skill level. So we have to break this myth. We have to deal with this myth. And so our challenge in these conversations, certainly from the point of view of the University of Johannesburg, is how can we turn this tide? How can we turn this problem? And so today we take the baby steps, the first steps in launching this very important think tank, round table, big conversation that's looking for fast ideas. I don't want to say fast results, but that's looking for fast ideas. Big conversation, looking for fast ideas. Yes, not today necessarily, but fast ideas in the next period, so that we can give life, we can give meaning, we can give substance to what Dr. Maponya is seeking together with us to accomplish, and for this to happen in his lifetime. And so I conclude by saying that Dr. Maponya, Ubaba Wetu, is indeed a gift to the people of South Africa. It is time that we understand this gift better and the meaning of Richard Maponya. It is time we understand it better. It is time that we, as we understand that him, the persona, the spirit better, how do we nurture, almost said 1 million Baba Maponyas? How do we nurture 1 million Baba Maponyas out of these young people who come into our colleges, who leave schools, come into our colleges, come into our universities, hoping, against hope often, hoping that that value that they've gained from our institutions is going to provide a platform to pull them and their families out of poverty. And so what needs to happen even here at this university and other universities? What are the big, fast ideas that we need in society broadly, in our institutions, including our universities? The important thing is that we are honoring Baba Maponya while he's here. Not at some other point I was shaking his hand and he was greeting me like a, 55-year-old. All right, even younger if you wish, Baba. But the way he is still strong is extraordinary. And so he's doing it here personally. It's not in his memory that we are undertaking this important work. And so we have an opportunity to shape, together with Dr. Maponya, the facts of our economic landscape and to contribute, as I've suggested, with big, fast ideas. So the institute that we are launching today, Institute of Ubaba Maponya, therefore is a demonstration that he wants to share now in a more substantive and a consistent manner his experiences and his contributions to the making of Johannesburg, Soweto, to the making of South Africa, and so on. And so the program of action includes the annual lecture on entrepreneurship, the Richard Maponya lecture on entrepreneurship during the Global Entrepreneurship Week of 17 to 23 November. And we are glad to be part of that milestone. The quarterly think tank that kicks off today. And for us at UJ, 6 times a year, a campus-based learner and practitioner entrepreneurs dialogue series, really at the highest level, a dialogue series to influence and to shift young people's minds away from jobs in government to actually being innovators, being entrepreneurs, and for us, of course, to understand and contribute to the making of the conditions. I want to finish then by saying that, I've not said this before, but one of the reasons why we were inspired at UJ to rebuild, to renew, and to create a fantastic campus in Soweto. Yes, it was about the brand Soweto, the people Soweto, about putting in place there an iconic institution that we now have in place there. I should say that when we started the project of rebuilding that campus and renewing it and reprogramming it, if I could call it that, we had 1,000 students and the campus was going downhill. And we drew the line in the sand. Today we've got more than 6,000 students on that campus. They're a fantastic facility. Together with the state, we invested 650 million rands in that campus. And if you have a chance, if you've not seen it, just drive past Bara Hospital, Chris Hani Hospital. Just drive past and you'll see there on the skyline, you'll see the new iconic campus. And one of the reasons was because of this gentleman. And so when we honored Ubaba Maponya with his honorary doctorate, just to recognize, I mean, it's a small, professors think it's a big thing in Senate when they sit and debate these things. But in real terms, it's a small gesture of recognition of a great man, of a great persona, of a great spirit. Battled through and rose. Battled again, fell down, picked himself up, and again strode high, walked tall, with his own swag as he picked himself up. And so one of the reasons why we have that campus is because of Ubaba Maponya, who gave us the confidence and the assurance that we're doing the right thing. So please forgive me for taking so much of your time. This is really an extended way of saying, Siyamkela. We welcome you. Please feel at home here at the University of Johannesburg. Thank you very much.